For many, Pudsey Bear and Children in Need reminds them of charity, fun, laughter and entertainment. For me it's a constant reminder of the last time my son, Travis James, TJ, went to sleep. I don't watch it anymore. It's been a normal day, the kids up and off to school military style, back home military style. It was the usual chaos you find in any large family, with cartoons, dinner, fighting and bickering before bedtime. TJ is the youngest of our children. He spent most of the day with his mother Helen and wanted cuddles with his dad when he got back home. Helen had given TJ a bath, and after his bath he played for a while with his three brothers and his sister. He began to get a bit grumpy and red-faced. It was time for bed. Helen picked him up and he nuzzled his face into her shoulder, wiping off his snot as 14 months old do. I asked if he wanted a kiss and her good night, but he settled a wave and a smile, and then went upstairs to bed. Helen took him a top-up bottle of milk about 11 p.m. Helen told me he turned in his bed, looked, smiled, rolled over and went back to sleep. At just after 5 a.m, Maya May, 2 at the time, decided it was time to get up and play, shouting at TJ to get up. Helen went up. We lived in a 3-story house with our bedroom on the middle floor and the children's on the top floor, and she put Maya May back to bed. She went back to check TJ was asleep. Callum, then 4, was standing in the middle of the room, frozen like a rabbit caught in the headlights of a car. TJ was still in the same position he had been in when she last went in, face down with his bum in the air, as if asleep, like some kids do. She touched him and then rolled over, and then screamed. I rushed to his room, knowing that the scream had signalled something was terribly wrong. As I ran into the room, in what I can only describe as autopilot, I was met with this fact. I picked him up. He was cold to the touch. His lips were blue and he didn't look like my baby boy. I didn't want to hurt him any more than he already was, so I gently laid him on the floor, more gentle than I'd ever done before. Everything was wrong. I barked to Helen. Phone, kids in the living room, biscuits, stand by the front door. Helen brought me the phone and I dialed emergency service and began to try to resuscitate him. He was so cold. As I breathed into his mouth, his tiny chest rose. Was it going to work? I thought to myself. The operator was giving me instructions. The thought, shut up, just get the ambulance here now, kept resounding in my head. I could hear Helen shouting and swearing outside. Where's the ambulance? My baby, my baby. I continued breathing into his mouth, his little chest rising. Blood and snot was bubbling from his nose. I wondered whether this was a sign that it was working, or whether I was just hoping my worst fear, that one of my children had died, could be real. It seemed like I'd been trying to breathe life back into him forever, and suddenly there was a hand on my shoulder, and a voice said, "There's no more you can do." It was Andy, the paramedic. It had been 20 minutes. 20 minutes will haunt me forever. I know it was too late before I even started, but could never forgive myself if I hadn't tried to save him. I broke the news to Helen. I said, "He's gone." I couldn't bring him back. She slid to the floor, inconsolable and sobbing. My baby, my baby. For the next few hours the house was buzzing with ambulance crews, police and forensics. Everyone asked how Helen and the kids were, but nobody asked me how I was. Helen went to the hospital with TJ. She insisted. I sat at home to take care of our other children. It was time to break the bad news to the family. They asked how Helen and the kids were, but again, nobody ever asked me how I was. I rang Helen at the hospital and asked what I felt was like a stupid question. How are you? She asked how the kids were, but even Helen never asked me how I was. As the days went on, we had to make plans for the funeral. I was the main contact. The funeral director carried out the formalities and asked how Mum and the children were taking it in. And like everyone else I've spoken to since losing TJ, she never asked me how I was. Over a week later, I had a call saying that we could see TJ in the chapel of rest, so I arranged a time we could go. When we got there, I didn't want to go in. You should go in, you should be strong, I thought to myself. Once again, when we came out, the funeral director asked how Mum was, and it was becoming a pattern. I wasn't asked the same question of myself. At the day of the funeral, the hearse and cars turned up. I went out with the car seats and fitted them in. The undertaker asked how Helen and the kids were, and I think you can guess by now, nobody asked after me. At this stage I was very unwell. I was suffering organ failure due to a number of reasons. I was bloated and yellow. Homer, as my friends nicknamed me at the time. My eldest daughter came up to me outside a crematorium and said, "Hi Dad, hell, you're yellow." Thanks, I thought. I had every intention of carrying my son's tiny cornflower blue coffin, but when it came to it I was too weak. Even when I tried to lift it, struggling, no one asked how I was. I had to ask my dad, brother and my father-in-law to carry his coffin for me. Over a year later, my wife and I were sitting watching TV when I asked her, "When was the last time you asked me how I was feeling about losing TJ?" She sat, eyes up in the air, clearly trying to think. I stepped in and replied for her, "Never, you never have." No one had ever asked me how I was, and there was nobody for me to turn to, talk to about my own grief and pain. We'd been given a pack from the hospital explaining what happened after a child dies. There was a little in it about support, but it wasn't very helpful. I telephoned Crew's bereavement and left a number of messages on their answer phone. No one ever got back to. We contacted SANS. TJ was too old. I looked online and there were plenty of groups for mums, but hardly anything for dads. I had recently joined Facebook, and again, lots of the groups for mums and little for dads. The few groups that were aimed at dads were run by women, so not really geared up for how men think or how fathers deal with losing their child. In December 2010, the first Daddies with Angels group was set up on Facebook as a group for men who had lost their child, regardless of their age of their children were when they died, and regardless of the cause of death. It didn't have the usual criteria that other groups had, of your child having to have died at a certain age, or where you lived, or any of that unnecessary nonsense, the hurdle that stopped people being able to access support. Being somewhat naive, I didn't reckon on those who didn't have the respect for dead babies or their parents, the fakes, and those who wanted to mock. Some people were so cruel, and still are. This quickly led to the group being shut down and closed, with a more private group being set up in its place. I wasn't willing to allow our angels to be mocked, or members upset, and began to ask a few questions of those who requested to join before allowing them to join the group. Some didn't like this, but some understood and saw why it was necessary. As time went on, I began to receive messages from angel mums asking how they could get their husbands or partners to open up and talk about their loss. Whilst answering these messages seemed to help a little, more was needed. There was a need for a forum for this type of discussion and support. So after some consideration, the original group was changed to a group for mums and dads. I still had firmly in my mind that there was a need for a safe platform where just the dads could talk. So part of this journey was to create another Facebook group for angel dads only. In August 2012, I published the Daddies with Angels community page on Facebook. I knew that some people did not want to join a group, some just wanted to ask a few questions, and some wanted a space to share pictures, graphics, poems, or exchange messages. It's also a place where closed groups can be shared. In the process of making graphics for anyone who wanted them, some people asked if Daddies with Angels had a group for those who had lost another family member or a friend. There wasn't, but there was a need. So another group was set up and named Missing a Loved One. Presently, we have 6 closed groups. A group for angel mums and a group for angel dads only. Missing a Loved One, Children with Angels, Grandparents with Angels, and Anticipatory Grief group. This is a group for anyone who has a family member or loved one who is diagnosed with a terminal illness or doesn't have long to live. In each group we have a file. It's called Our Angel Special Day. This is a list of birthdays and angelversaries. When it's a birthday or angelversary, a graphic is made so that person who has grown the wings can be remembered and extra support given to the parent or family member at the times when they need that emotions can be especially raw. When someone joins Daddies with Angels groups, they are considered family. They're not just offered advice and support about having an angel, but anything that is affecting their daily lives. This can range from diet, domestic abuse, or advice on a relationship. The administrators can be contacted in private to discuss anything members might need or want to talk about. Sometimes what can seem like a great burden for some can be resolved or eased with a group discussion or private message. At Daddies with Angels, it doesn't matter how old your angel was when they grew their wings or how they grew their wings. If you're a genuine angel parent or someone who has suffered a genuine loss, you're welcome. With members who lost children or were born too soon, died of cancer or other diseases, committed suicide, died of natural causes, or have even sadly been murdered. There are very few situations relating to a way an angel has grown its wings that we have not come across within Daddies with Angels. Our YouTube channel acts as a musical memorial tribute to our angels, with a playlist which includes songs that are played at funerals, describes how we feel, or songs which bring happy memories about our angels. We also upload personal videos we make for our angels, such as montages and videos to raise awareness, in which parents and families talk about the loss of a child within the family. Our blog is a place where members of Daddies with Angels can share their stories to show others that it's okay to talk about loss. It's also another platform to share graphics and pictures, and where in the future we might have a memorial wall to remember our angels. Daddies with Angels can also be found on Twitter and LinkedIn. Generally, sorry is used to express sympathy for another due to circumstances they are in, which is fine. The concern about using this word arises when an angel parent uses it to apologise for being an angel parent, or expressing feelings of loss, pain or blame. Having these feelings is okay, and no one should apologise for that. That's not okay. The S word is often used when someone does something wrong. Sorry for bumping into you. Sorry can be used, and it can be a very powerful word, and rather than reinforce any feelings of guilt or blame someone may be feeling, we would rather just avoid using it and encourage members to let go of feelings and guilt and self-blame. Here are some of the reviews we've had from some of our members. Fantastic, this has been a tonic for lots. I probably wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for the help of you guys and your support. If I didn't find Daddies with Angels, I wouldn't be half the person I am today. The help I've had has helped me understand my feelings and how my emotions are. I had people there to talk to when I felt like rock bottom and was nowhere to go. Even doctors couldn't help me. I know my life is changing for better now, being able to release all that I have bottled up for years, and with support of these people. I can't thank them enough for the help they've given me. I'm finding better ways to deal with my grief. Daddies with Angels is a place where anybody can go. I'm only here to help others. I still grieve and miss my son, but if I can help others, then it helps me. They do a great job and ask for nothing in return. Stories and memories are shared. Through this, it's helped me realise that where I want in my career to go, and as well, in fact, and that is through writing more children's stories. Daddies with Angels didn't know this, but it's true. Thank you to all you that contribute, and a huge thank you to all the people that run this site. But most important, God bless our angels and rainbows, and cherish your children every day. My little rainbow girl saved my life, and so did her mummy and big brother in the clouds. God bless. I still cannot talk to my husband about my loss of our son, but I can at Daddies with Angels. For that I am forever grateful. I so love this group and the people behind it. Truly and sincerely, I am grateful for Daddies with Angels. I became a proud member of Daddies with Angels in 2011. The group was quite small back then, but it's just as intimate and personal now. We were received and welcomed so warmly, and it was so comforting to meet other angel parents, and we started making friendships that we still have today. It's hard to measure the help we received, just to say it helped us unbelievably, both individually and as a couple. The group has saved my sanity and my life. My being able to express my grief is completely comforting, and non-judgmental environment has made the grieving process less horrific and enabled me to be a better mother to my living child. I honestly do not know if I would be in this place now I am without this wonderful group. I could not recommend it more highly to anybody. Daddies with Angels is a group of wonderful and supportive dads who have turned their own experiences into something that does not just help the memories of their angels alive, but memories of every angel gone too soon. It's a group where members can talk and remember their own angels to their heart's content. It's an ear full of different moments, angelversaries, and a place where you never feel alone. Our constitution and other policy documents equal opportunity, child protection policy and procedures, etc. can be found in the notes in our Facebook community page as well as on our website. Despite being nominated for the UK support category, Daddies with Angels members are followers from all over the world, and not just those who've lost a child. Daddies with Angels has developed to meet the needs of everyone, including those who don't normally fit into any pre-existing group where they've lost someone. Thank you for listening.